Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today. And again, we start with quieting our mind for a few moments by watching the breath. Then we can try to generate good intention, motivation by thinking. May us coming together and engaging in this discussion, reflection, contemplations, studying the Dharma, become cause and conditions to actualize all the realizations within our mind stream. Especially the realization of the wisdom that realizes the ultimate truth and conventional truth. Thereby inducing the relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta within the mind stream of ourselves and all sentient beings. And through the path of method and wisdom, may we be able to obtain the buddhahood of Dhammakaya and Rupakaya, and to be the greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient being. At least may it be cause and conditions for us to have strong imprint so that we can have a easily understanding, and to be able to actualize the realization in the future quickly, easily. Okay, so to the founder, the endowed, non-standard destroyer, the one gone beyond, the fourth destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings, be tame, teacher of God and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, non-standard destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offering, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with their supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha, a star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see condition, things as such. To these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four of faults, and be delivered from the samsaric ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate to the archetypal gem. Thus did I hear one time that Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Vulture Mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was observed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perceptions. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the activities of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activities of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, the phenomena of emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, no division, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignoring, no extinction of ignorance, so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond era, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awakened and unsurprised for perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurprised mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that truly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it's not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom declares, Tayata Om Kade Kade, Paragade, Parasamgade, Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva master, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commented the Bodhisattva master to Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that one should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva master of Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding the entirety, along with the worlds of gods, humans, asura, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Sashi Peke Chonshe Meto Tare Rale She Nye De Gen Bade Sanke Shintu Mi De Uwai Dogun Namada Shin Je Parashoye Dam Guru Rana Mandala Ganyataya Me. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to vindicate all sentient beings. Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonam, Dola Penche Sange Doba, Sange Jodan Soge Sonam, Chanju Padu Dane, Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonam, Dola Penche Sange Doba Show. So we are in the sections in Middle Lamrim on where the discussions on two truths, and I think maybe I will just kind of again summarize a little bit very shortly. The true truth, ultimate truth, and conventional truth. And ultimate truth is undeceiving truth. Conventional truth is deceiving in a sense that those objects that are conventional phenomena or objects, conventional phenomena or objects, the way they exist and the way it appear to the mind that perceives them directly is there's disparity, and therefore it's deceiving the way it appears and the way it exists. On the other hand, ultimate truth is that any object phenomena, that appear as it is to the mind that perceive it directly, and therefore is not deceiving, because there is no disparity between the appearance and the mode of the way it exists. And so that is the ultimate truth. And then we also kind of discuss about when we say conventional truth, what the meaning of that truth, and when we say ultimate truth, what is the meaning of that truth? Because even though we use same term truth, but there is a different meaning to each of them. And then we also discuss in terms of conventional truth, and there are divisions of the conventional truth. Then there is slightly different division according to the two different middle way schools, according to the Sautrantika and Prasangika. In terms of Sautrantika, then they divide the conventional truth into, correct and wrong conventional truth. Yeah. And but even though they divide the conventional truth in two divisions, but it is only in relation to the object, not to the subject, the mind. Okay, so they divide in to the divisions of correct and mistaken or incorrect conventional truth or reality, but that division is only in relation to the object and not to the subject. And then in Prasangika, they don't actually divide the conventional truth in two, in generally speaking, because all conventional truth are wrong or deceptive. But in relation to the sentient ordinary mind, then there is according to the worldly ordinary mind, then there is this divisions of correct and incorrect. And so that is a slightly different between the Sautrantika and Prasangika, okay, in terms of how they divide the conventional truth. And then there was, I think the last time when we had, then there was discussions about the Four Noble Truth. Among them, discussion among Four Noble Truth, which are the conventional truth and which are ultimate truth. And then, there were different views, different ideas. And then, but in according to Prasangika and according to Je Tsongkhapa, then it's clear the cessations, the fourth truth is the ultimate truth, and other three are conventional truth when we divide them. So even though there is some, whether the cessation is ultimate truth or whether it's a conventional truth, there are different point of view and why and that, and in terms of different sources, quotation, but at the end, the cessation is the ultimate truth, and the other three, the truth of suffering, originations, and the path they all fall within the category of conventional truth. Okay, so I think that was where we kind of left. In terms of the PDF, I think 265 page number. In terms of the book, I think 389, I guess. And okay. So then we are in that, in PTF, there is number 6, the source of proceeding all phenomena as the power of designations. I think that is where we are. And because there is some points, I think, in the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom, it is clearly explained all the phenomena, all the objects, all the things are merely labeled by relying on, designations. So it has clearly, so all is merely labeled, all is merely designated. Okay. Therefore, they do not exist ultimately. Since they all are merely designated, merely labeled by the thoughts and name, and therefore all phenomena do not exist ultimately or inherently or truly. They all have same meaning. Okay, or existing from its own side. So that not only that, from the sutra, then also from the commentaries by Nagarjuna, 70 stanzas of emptiness, it also says, same thing, all the phenomena, that come into the existence, being produced, and then it remains, and then it come to decay, and then as well as the concept or the phenomena of existing, non-existence, or whether it is a low, equal, or special, or different level that we have, all are taught by the Buddha as by the power. They all exist by Buddha taught. They all exist by merely imputations or designations, and in that terms or by name, they do not exist by power of their own entity or from their own side, by its own powers. So. So all the phenomena, for example, the flowers coming into the existence, and then in the spring it comes in, it grows, it comes in existence, then it lasts for how many ever weeks, months, it abides, or it remains for something, and then at the end it comes to the end, it decay and it comes to the end, and then all this idea, all this concept, all these phenomena of coming into the existing, abiding, and coming to the end. Also this, the idea, the concept of existing, not existence, or also the idea about this is something less, this is equal, this is more, all these different phenomena that we have, they all are existing by merely imputations. The Buddha has taught, as Nagarjuna said, they all exist by, so everything, good, bad, samsara, nirvana, pleasant, unpleasant, happiness, sufferings, all of that, all those phenomena, everything that they all exist on basis of merely imputed or merely labeled. Nothing exists from its own side, by its own, objectively from its own side, and therefore none of them exist inherently or truly or ultimately, okay? And then here, next, coming to the Master Janagarbha explains, and then since it is truth for ultimate consciousness is the ultimate truth, and then Lama Tsongkhapa explaining the meaning of that, as we already explained, before, the reasoning consciousness, and that is, is the ultimate, and thus, the wisdom relies on emptiness that is undeceptive, imperceptive, therefore is truth, But it doesn't mean, is truly existence. So then Lama Tsongkhapa try to differentiate between something that is object, such as, let's say, the emptiness itself, okay, is ultimate truth and is non-deceptive. It's ultimate truth, non-deceptive, but it is not inherent existence, because if you try to find what is emptiness with a reasoning consciousness analysis, the ultimate analysis consciousness, even that emptiness cannot be found. Therefore, even the emptiness cannot withstand that kind of analysis. And since it cannot withstand that kind of analysis and it cannot be found with that kind of analysis, therefore it cannot be truly existence, inherent existence. And if it is something that is not something which is not truly existent, then it cannot be ultimately existence. And I think that is where, again, there is a difference between something being ultimate or ultimate truth and then ultimately existence, okay? Are we clear here that? Yeah, that is where that is where it's trying to make clarity on that, because sometimes we can get confused with that, because we often hear the emptiness is ultimate truth. Then since we hear it's ultimate truth, therefore it must exist ultimately. But here what is saying, even there is ultimate truth, but it does not exist ultimately. If it exists ultimately, then it will exist truly, inherently. And if something exists ultimately or truly inherently, then it will have to, with a reasoning consciousness, when we analyze and investigate and try to find within the basis of emptiness, then the emptiness should be found, but it cannot be found. And so therefore, so I think this is, because a lot of people get confused that, because when you hear is ultimate, therefore it must be ultimately existence. And there is a difference between those. And so that is, so there is, and then the next, number 8, where it says, for something to be posited as conventional existence, it must not be damaged by any valid cognition. And again, this is very important points, okay? Because as you often hear, all phenomena are merely imputed by thoughts. Okay. And then when we hear that, everything is merely imputed by thought, merely imputed by, merely label, then we think we can label anything. We can impute anything. Then that thought can arise. Or I can impute this computer as a glass. And it becomes glass because everything is imputed to the mind. So therefore, we can impute whatever we like. So not to get, there could be that kind of misunderstanding. And so therefore, where there is clarity, even though everything is merely imputed by thoughts, by nominations, by designations, but something to exist conventionally, not only it has to be imputed by the thought or label or designation, but it shouldn't be damaged. It shouldn't be damaged, or it shouldn't be negated or contradicted by another valid cognition, whether it's a valid cognition that is perceiving conventional reality, or whether it's perceiving ultimate reality. Okay, and so so that is another important point. Very important point. To differentiate. For example, the self, the object of negation, the self that does not exist. Okay, the self that which is the object of negation that do not exist is also merely imputed by the mind. Even though it is merely imputed mind, but that self do not exist even on conventional level. Are we clear? The object of negations, okay, when we say about selfless, when we talk about selfless, we are not negating all the self, but we are negating one particular self. That's a truly existing self. Okay, that is the object of negations when we talk about selfless. So that truly existing self is also merely imputed by the thoughts, is merely imputed by the ignorance. Okay, the thought of ignorance is merely imputed by the thought of ignorance, because the ignorance believe that it to exist when it do not. Okay, so therefore it is imputed by the ignorance and a thought concept. But even though it is imputed by the thought or merely designated, that self do not exist on conventional level. Because if it exists on conventional level, then that will be that that understanding will be contradicted or negated or damaged by the valid cognitions that perceive emptiness. Okay, that perceive emptiness. The valid cognition that perceived emptiness will prove that do not exist even on conventional level, that do not exist even on conventional level. So it contradicts that by that valid cognition. Therefore, it does not exist even on conventional level. Okay. Another examples, of contradiction by the other valid cognizer, that is, the valid cognizer will perceive conventional reality. For example, from far distant, you see what you call, like in the field, they have this people made, to scare the crows or the animals. What do you call that one?
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow. Okay. Scarecrow. When you look from more distant, you might think, oh, there is a human being there. Okay. And that scarecrow being imputed as a human being by your mind. So that scarecrow is merely imputed as a human being by your mind. But even though it's imputed by your mind, still that crow does not exist as a human being, even on conventional level. Because the conventional mind that sees as a scarecrow will contradict that and damage and negate that mind. And so therefore, that is why it says something to exist conventionally, it shouldn't be contradicted by any of two valid cognizer, whether it's a conventional cognitions or ultimate cognitions. So this is important to really understand, again, sometimes, because otherwise we get confused again, or we think then, I can impute anything, and so you cannot impute anything, because if you impute something, this computer as a glass, there is a valid cognizing that realize this as a computer, and that will contradict that, that mind. So I think that is one important point there. I wanted to kind of touch on that. And so then here, Lama Tsongkhapa gives some examples, the self, which some of the other schools describe the self to be permanent, partless, and self-sufficient, that kind of self does not exist even on conventional levels, and as well as another example giving, like in when there is illusions, like a magician creating illusions, and then even there is no horse, it creates horse or elephants, and so therefore such illusions, that horse, the appearance of horse as being real horse, the appearance of the elephant being as real horse, also that does not exist even on conventional level, and so they all are like illusions, even though they appear as to exist really from its own side objectively really, but they do not exist that way, and they are like illusion, and they do not even exist conventionally, and so here Prasangika approach to proceed as conventional existence that only exists in perception of mistaken mind is meaningless bubbly, so again, I guess Lama Tsongkhapa refuting some misunderstanding in the past by certain others, and so thinking that, Prasangikas only proceed that conventional phenomena only in the existence of perception from the mistaken mind. That is totally wrong. Lama Tsongkhapa was saying, actually Prasangika actually proceeds. There is true truth, ultimate and conventional truth, and then not only to the mistaken, it is to the conventional truth is actually proceeded according to unmistaken mind, according to the valid cognizance. It's the opposite of what you are saying, not from the perspective of mistaken mind, but actually according to the non-mistaken valid cognitions. It has to be that. So I think that is where one clearly making that. And so then here, I think in the number 9, and there a little bit on the second paragraph, where this system here, this system referred to the prasangika system, it's not satisfied with such a way of positive phenomena by power of conventional imputation. What it does not do is search for imputed objects that is merely posited like that. So what it is, again, I think it's an important point. Again, sometimes a lot of time that is also mistaken a lot of time. When we try to find, of course there is objects, whatever objects, that are merely imputed, okay? They are merely imputed objects that exist conventional, okay? And they have their own individual functionings, all these conventional objects, all these different conventional objects that has been merely imputed by the mind, they have their own individual functionings, and it affects differently to different other phenomena, okay? So when we try to find, not being just satisfied, let's say, these computers has these functionings, to allow to have, through many cause and condition, allow us to have this Zoom class, for example, or many other functionings, but not being satisfied with not just being satisfied with the appearance and not being satisfied with just the appearance and the functioning of that phenomena, but if we want to go beyond that and say, what is that computer? What is that computer? What is that computer? If we try to analyze that way, is the screen the computer? Is the chip inside? Is different chips? Is that the computer? Is this? So when you try to find it, you cannot find computer in that. You cannot find computer that. But not being able to find that computer when you do with that kind of analysis, with that kind of investigation, by that kind of reasoning consciousness that way, it doesn't mean it does not exist just because you cannot find it with that kind of analysis. What it means is it do not exist truly or inherently because you cannot find it. But that doesn't mean it does not exist. Because that is one of the misunderstanding, again, a lot of time, whether when we are trying to do that kind of investigation, analyzing, whether with the self or with any phenomena, then we cannot really pinpoint and we cannot find within the basis. And when we are unable to find it, then there is a danger of thinking it does not exist at all. When we come to that conclusion, then it falls into one extreme. And therefore, even when we do that kind of analysis, that ultimate analysis, that is what we call ultimate analysis, by ultimate reasoning consciousness. When you cannot find it with that, not being satisfied with just the appearance and the functioning of that, but trying to go beyond that, what is that phenomena? That way of analyzing is ultimate analysis. When you cannot find with that endowment, it doesn't mean it does not exist. But what it means, it does not exist inherently, truly, or from its own side. And I think that is where we have to make those differences. Otherwise, a lot of time people get confused when you hear we do analyzing, then is there no self? Then that come the questions. Does that mean there is no self? Does that mean there's no computer? Does that mean there's no books? All of that. And so we have to keep that very clear in our mind so that, yeah, so I think that is where Lam Tsongkhapa is making. And from there, the dividing line between analyzing and not analyzing, such is also drawn. And so that is where it is drawn, the divisions. And so that is where, of course, we have other analysis on conventional. For example, is this computer good or not? Is computer big or small? That kind of analysis is not the ultimate analysis, is more conventional analysis. Do you get it? There are two different levels of analysis. I can analyze, I can discuss whether this computer is good quality or not, whether this computer is small or big, whether this computer is suitable for this activities or not, for Zooming or online class or not, all of this kind of analysis that we do a lot of those kind of analysis in our everyday life. Is this worthwhile to buy or not? Is this what I need or not? All this kind of analysis. That kind of analysis is not ultimate analysis. Okay? The ultimate analysis that we're talking about when we're investigating and trying to understand the ultimate truth is that whatever object that is, there is the functioning of that object and there is appearance of that object and there is its individual functionings, but not being satisfied with that and going beyond actually what is that computer? What is that object? Where is that object? And trying to find that within the basis, and that kind of analysis is the analysis, ultimate analysis. And that is what divides whether it is ultimate analysis or not. And so I think that is where Lam Tsongkhapa is again trying to make clear of what ultimate analysis is when we apply on that. And again, these are another important, I think, points that we have to, not all the analysis are ultimate analysis, and so to understand what kind of analysis when we do that, then we, and not being able to find, then can we say it is not inherent existence or not ultimately existing or inherent existence or not. And so I think that is where those distinguish has to make very clearly so that we don't get confused. We don't get confused, okay? And confused and misunderstanding. And then there are some, some discussions on, I don't know whether we need to go all of that. There are some discussions, like, in some of the sutras or in some others, where they're saying not to perceive anything is all to perceive suchness, and so on, and what is not the sin is to sin as a dharma. So there is those statements, and then trying to understand what those statements means, and so then Lama Tsongkhapa kind of giving some explanations or meaning of those statements. And and that kind of a similar statement you find very often in a lot of lot of the sutras and many other teachings as well. And if you don't understand the real meaning of that, then there can be contradictions, there can be a lot of contradictions, lots of misunderstanding. And so, and therefore the Lama Tsongkhapa trying to explain the meaning of that, what does that means, one way of looking, not perceiving is the ultimate perceiving. Like example, there is like that. Not seeing or not perceiving is the ultimate seeing or ultimate perceivings, So what it means is, when not perceiving the truly existence or ultimately existence is the ultimate perceiving, or not seeing or seeing empty of truly existence is the ultimate seeing, Here, not seeing means seeing the absent or empty of truly existence. That is what it means. Not seeing means seeing the absence of truly or inherently existence is the ultimate seeing, or perceiving, that is the ultimate perceiving, and perceiving, that is the seeing the Dharma, because when you perceive the absence of truly existent, that is when you cultivate the wisdom realizing emptiness. And that is wisdom realizing emptiness is the true Dharma, and that is seeing the Dharma or actualizing the Dharma, And so there are many, many statements like that. So I think that is one way of looking at that. And then, Buddha not seeing aggregates, 5 aggregates, for example, in perfection of the wisdom of 8,000 lines, where they say, those who don't see forms and also don't see feelings, perception, intention, consciousness, mental, see the dharmas, Tathagata teach, so like that. So then Lama Tsongkhapa explains, what that means. That is similar like in Heart Sutra, where there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no conventional, no, it is the same, similar or same kind of statements, What it means is when you engage Arya or the Buddhas, when you engage in the deep meditations, meditative, when you are in meditative equipoise, meditating equipoise, then you don't see the objects of the aggregate. We already discussed, I think last time, when you have direct realization of emptiness, and when you have that meditative equipoise, then all the dualistic view dissolve or disappear, And so not only there is no appearance of inherently existing object, there's no appearance of subject and objects, there's no appearance of even the conventional objects. And so in that state of mind, then there is, even you are meditating on emptiness of 5 aggregates, but those 5 aggregates do not appear to that mind. And so therefore that sense, so therefore, so then in that cases, then those 5 aggregates, the object of the object of meditation, of the object of the object or the emptiness of the object, when you are in a deep meditative equipoise on the emptiness of the object, that object, even that object do not appear. And so not seeing that. So I think that and then there is again, the Sutra on engaging true truth, again, there is some statements, it seems to if you take it literally, if you don't see, then, you know, ultimate truth are beyond, you know, omniscient, exalted wisdom. And again, you cannot take that as a fact face or literally. And so here Lam Tsongkhapa says the quotation is source for dualistic appearance stopping rather than non-realization of ultimate truth by the Buddha, you know. So the meaning of that is, you know, is that when the Buddhas realize the emptiness, or the, you know, or the Buddha's exalted wisdom realize the emptiness, then, you know, all the dualistic appearance stops. And so Buddha experienced the ultimate truth of the emptiness non-dualistically, free from all the dualistic views, free from all the dualistic appearance. So that is the meaning of that. And then there is a little bit of another discussions, you know, whether there's a mental factors, mind and mental factors in the Buddha's mind or not, because in some of the, again, in some of the you know, quotations, sources seems to indicate that there is no mind and mental factors movement within the Buddha's mind. And so again, the Lama Tsongkhapa again trying to explain that it doesn't mean there is no mind and mental factors in the Buddha's mind, you know, but what it means is there is no conceptual thoughts in the Buddha's mind. So that is the difference. Because if there is no mental factors, then you would have to say there is no compassions, there is no loving kindness. Compassion is part of mental factors, you know. So then you would have to say Buddha do not have compassions. And, you know, therefore, definitely the Buddha have, you know, movement of or the mind and mental factors, but the meaning of those statements is that the Buddha does not have conceptual thoughts. You know, the conceptual thoughts are dualistic. You know, conceptual thoughts are dualistic, and there is no dualistic mind. Buddha is free from all the dualistic mind. Because when you have the conceptual thoughts always go through, you know, you cannot experience the object directly. You know, it go through the image, general image, you know. And so therefore, when you go through the general image, then there is always the dualistic view, you know. And so therefore that is the meaning of that. And then there is one here distinguishing making, and I think that is also important to understand. I think to know the special quality of the Buddhas, you know. So here in that very end of that 268, you know, very end, like with the F in that, and at the very end, after the clear words where it says, and then Lama Tsongkhapa explaining the meaning of statement, there is no movement of mind, is explained as the absence of conceptual thought, which I already explained. And moreover, the explanation Chandrakya commentary in middle way is set forth at the time of Arya meditative equipoise on the path of learning. It has not come to permanent end, whereas at the time of Buddha, it has. So that is like when you are on both sides of a path, at the path of learning. So, you know, path of learning, the first fourth path, the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, path of seeing, and path of meditations. During those times, you know, especially during the path, at the time of path of seeing and meditations, when you have direct realization of emptiness, And in those areas, during the meditative equipoise, the dualistic view disappear in that moment, but not permanently. When they come out of that meditative equipoise, then there is dualistic view. Do you get it? When they are in deep meditative equipoise, there is no dualistic view. But when they come out of that meditative equipoise, then there is dualistic view. Then there is appearance of all the objects, even though it appears like an illusion, but still there is appearance of subject, objects, and even truly existing. Even they don't believe truly existing, but there is appearance of that. There is appearance of object, all of that. There is dualistic view. So therefore, it is not permanent, even though there are times when dualistic view is entered or disappeared to those during that area path, but when you achieve Buddha, then dualistic view are permanently disappear. Okay, permanently disappear. And when you achieve Buddhahood, then there is no meditative equipoise and post-meditative equipoise. Two different sessions, And now there is meditative equipoise and post-meditative equipoise when you are on the path. But when you achieve enlightenment, there is no meditative equipoise and post-meditative. All is meditative equipoise. While you are in meditative equipoise, at the same time, you are able to function all the activities of post-meditative activities. That is the unique qualities of the Buddha. Even the great bodhisattvas, they cannot do that. Even the great bodhisattvas, they are unable to do that. And that is the unique quality of the Buddha. While they are in deep meditative equipoise all the time, at the same time, they are able to function all the activities of post-meditative equipoise. And again, I think this statement kind of explains a little bit of that, explain that the difference of the absence or the end or disappearing of the dualistic within those who are on the path and who is not on the path, but someone who has achieved enlightenment. And then there is, some discussions again, that the emptiness or ultimate truth does not exist, and then then there is, if it does not exist, then it is pointless to trying to realize the emptiness. There is pointless for the bodhisattvas to engage in the path. There is a pointless for the Buddhas to appear to teach the ultimate truth, so they can get rid of all. So and so therefore, at the end, Lama Tsongkhapa made, therefore, it is simply wrong to say that great master system here, the Nagarjuna, great master Nagarjuna's system, profound that ultimate truth are not object of knowledge, and that exalted wisdom realizing suchness does not exist in the area meditative equipoise. So that is totally kind of wrong. So that is what it's saying. If that's the cases, then all this, so many pointless, there's fault of all this becoming pointless and useless, useless of all the training and practice and all of that. And again, there is some again, trying to clarify some of the things that is explained in the commentary to the middle way by Chandrakirti. Again, that could be misunderstood. And again, the meaning of that, And then also suchness is actualized by the stopping movement of conceptual thought. Again, there is the statements, and again, Lama Tsongkhapa giving I think kind of we already explained that, the object to be to actualize is the emptiness. The object possessor that is actualizing the object is the exalted wisdom. And the way that exalted wisdom actualize that object, emptiness, is that which actualize, and who actualize is the Sambhogakaya, or complete enjoyment body, the Buddha, which is the agent of the actualization, and which is known as exalted wisdom. And the way in which it actualizes, or that emptiness or the suchness, is by stopping conceptual movement of mind and mental factor, as explained before. So, So when, anyway, the Buddha actualized the emptiness all the time. It actualized both truth all the time, simultaneously. Both truth directly actualized simultaneously. And when it actualized the ultimate truth, then, it actualized all the time without a conceptual thought, and, directly. And so then there is another, so then, there is another discussions about whether Buddha perceive or realize all the phenomena or not, such as all the different variety, all such as the aggregates and all others conventional phenomena, whether the Buddha realize or perceive all of that or not. So if Buddha does not perceive it, then it cannot be established as existence, because how can it establish existence if it is not perceived by all knower or omniscient mind? If something exists, then it should be known by the omniscient mind, the Buddha's mind. And so therefore the discussions, I think the main discussion here, comes about, I think I already kind of touched on that before, I think last week, last time, for example, in our ordinary sentient being's mind, due to our ignorance, there is appearance of truly existence objects to our mind. Yeah, to our mind, there is the appearance of truly existing objects. Does that truly exist in that appearance? Does that appearance exist or not? We are not talking about the truly existing object, but the appearance of truly existing object to our mind due to our ignorance. Does that exist or not? If it exists, does Buddha know that or not? Does Buddha perceive that or not? If Buddha perceive that, then it will appear to Buddha's mind, because Buddha cannot perceive that without having the aspect of that, or without appearing that to his mind. And so therefore, does Buddha have the appearance of truly existence phenomena or not. That is the way the discussion comes, okay? And it is because it is existence, so therefore Buddha has to know it. Buddha's omniscient mind have to know it. Otherwise, it will be non-existence. If the Buddha's omniscient mind doesn't perceive it, it will be non-existent. If the Buddha's omniscient mind perceive it or know it, then it has to appear to Buddha's mind. So then how can Buddha's mind have appearance of truly existing object? Isn't he free from all this dualistic view, including appearance of, and so that is the word point. And then here, then there is a distinguishing making, you know, even though there's appearance of truly existing objects, but not because of Buddha's from its own side, but because from by it appearing to someone else that appearing to it. It's like, you know, something reflect into the mirror, and then I perceive that. Do you see it? Not because I have that, but it's something perceived into the mirror, and through that I perceive that. And so therefore that appearance, even though there is appearance of truly existing objects, but that is not appearing because of the within the Buddha's own mind, because of the ignorance or because of the pollutions, because of the imprint from the Buddha's own mind. On other hand, to us, the appearance there because of our own imprint, because of our own pollution, our delusions and imprint of the delusions. That is the appearance. But in the Buddha case, even though there's appearance of that, but not from because of that, but because of the appearance of someone. And that's so I think maybe that might be a good example, you know, reflections of the in the mirror, you know, not directly, indirectly. There's appearance of the moon to you, but not directly, but through the reflection from the mirror, you know, or the lake. So I think that is one of the so that is those three, you know, like J, K, L, all of them are more or less that discussions, you know, and I just try to condense what is being discussed, okay, without reading all of them. That is the whole, the main points of discussion in that. The main point of discussion in that, you know, of whether Buddha's mind is omniscient or not, you know, and if it that, then so yeah. And then there is a discussions like on the end, you know, although the objects, their objects is, you know, the objects of the Buddha's exalted wisdom perceiving emptiness or the ultimate truth, and the Buddha's exalted wisdom that perceives the conventional truth, you know. So those two objects, although their objects, the object of those two minds, the true truth, are one entity, is not contradictory proceed distinct exalted knower in relation to them, you know. So as we discussed before, you know, those true truth are one entity but different isolations, you know, or appearance, you know, is like two sides of the one coin. You know, it is like the two sides of the same coin, you know, same entity, but separate isolations. Mm. Just as that, also the Buddha's true consciousness, the Buddha's mind that perceive ultimate truth and that perceive conventional truth. Those two minds, they are same entity, but at the same time, there's no contradiction to say they are separate, just like the true truth, the object itself. The object, the true truth, even though they are same entity, but they are separate, just like the two sides of the coin. In the same way, you can say the two exalted wisdom, one that perceived the ultimate truth and that one perceived the conventional truth, even though they are same entity, but at the same time, there is no contradiction to say they are separate in a way. So I think that is the main point of that discussions. Because one of them is perceived through the reasoning consciousness, and one is perceived from the conventional violet cognitions. So then now it comes to the ultimate division, the ultimate truth. Okay. And so in the division to the ultimate truth, then here is said in, like there are sometimes in some scripture you find 16 emptiness, sometimes 4 emptiness, and then sometimes two emptiness. So those emptiness or ultimate truth are divided not because of the nature of the emptiness itself, but because of the object, So normally, there is, let's say, basically we divide in two, the emptiness of person and emptiness of phenomena, or emptiness of self or person or emptiness of phenomena. Normally we divide into those two, In terms of the emptiness, we already discussed before, in Prasangika point of view, in the emptiness of selfless, the emptiness of person, the emptiness of phenomena, there's no difference in terms of subtlety, in that. But it is just different because the one is object, the emptiness object is person, and another object of emptiness is the persons, and so that is the only. And then so when it's divided into the 4, then it is the emptiness of things, or or emptiness of condition phenomena, and emptiness of non-contingent phenomena or non-things, the emptiness of self-entity and others. So again, it's because of then 4, and then when it becomes 8, 6, the objects. So that is all. And also it says, in some scriptures, they also talk about the actual ultimate and concordant ultimate or similar emptiness, And when we talk, again, there is more little bit kind of, discussions on, how some of the early master differentiate different ultimate truth. And I don't think we need to go in that details, if you go to see those texts explaining two ultimate. So two ultimate are the actual ultimate and concordant ultimate, that is what two ultimate here meaning, are not meant to refer to object only, but it actually refer to the subject, the object possessor, that is the wisdom realizing emptiness, and so So why that consciousness can be known as ultimate? Normally, as we've been mentioned before, ultimate truth generally refer to the emptiness. Okay. When you talk about ultimate truth, it refers to the emptiness. Okay. But here, when we talk about ultimate, also it can refer to the consciousness. I think I also mentioned last time as well. Sometimes it could also, it doesn't not only refer to the object, the emptiness itself, but sometimes it can refer to the subject, the wisdom that realizes the emptiness. And so that can, and that wisdom is sometimes referred as ultimate because since it's not, as he said, truth is without deception, reason consciousness is ultimate, because unlike like the conventional cognitions that has been deceived by the appearance, that wisdom realizing emptiness directly is being undeceived by the appearance. There's no deception by the appearance. The wisdom realizing emptiness directly. And therefore, that can be the ultimate. Therefore, it can be referred as ultimate. And that is what, when we say actual ultimate and concordant or similar ultimate, the actual ultimate in that case is the wisdom realizing emptiness directly. And the wisdom that realizes emptiness not directly, but through reasoning, through the conceptual thoughts, that is the concordant ultimate, because it is not the actual ultimate consciousness, because it does not perceive directly, but because that consciousness realizes emptiness, and that lead to the actual ultimate or actual direct realization. So that is when so also in the illuminating middle way, again, it says, normally when we have a wisdom, there are three types of wisdom, the wisdom that developed through hearing, studying, and then from hearing the words, then reflecting on the meaning of that, thinking or reflecting on that, then we develop more higher level of wisdom through thinking. And once you have reflected on the meaning, and when you have the understanding, a certainty about that meanings, then you try to meditate by contemplating again and again and again, and through that, then you develop even more higher meditative wisdom. And those object possessor or those wisdom, the wisdom realizing emptiness through hearing, reflecting, and meditations, are without error, therefore called ultimate. And without error, in a way, they realize the ultimate reality, because they realize the ultimate reality. So then here it is of two types of reasoning consciousness. Okay, there are two types of one is non-conceptual and one is conceptual. So that is two types of the reasoning consciousness that realize the emptiness. Okay, one is conceptual and one is non-conceptual. So there's two types. Among the two types, non-conceptual exalted wisdom of Arya meditative equipoise without conceptions. Okay, that is when they have the direct realization of emptiness, when they perceive the emptiness directly. Whereas reasoning consciousness, comprehending substance based on sign, is conceptual and so forth. Whereas the wisdom that realizes the emptiness during the path of preparation, during the path of accumulations, or even before that, then it is a wisdom, it is still wisdom realizing emptiness, but still it is with a conceptions. Conception of thought you realize by using reasoning and logics, If it is not truly existing because this and that. If it's truly existing, it has to be this and that, or and so therefore. So then it actually dividing. I think then in the D here, the actual ultimate and which accord with it. In this regard, the first, that is the wisdom relies on emptiness directly. It actual ultimate because engaging sustenance is able to simultaneously eliminate elaboration of true existence and dualistic appearance with respect to its objects. Okay, because when you have direct realization of emptiness, in that wisdom that realizes emptiness directly, then it's simultaneous at the same time. It eliminates all the dualistic view. That is the appearance of truly existence, the appearance of subject and objects, and the appearance of object itself. And so there is no dualistic appearance at all, and it all eliminated simultaneously, and therefore that is actual ultimate wisdom. And that is also what it means by beyond all elaborations. Sometimes you see in many scriptures the emptiness explained as beyond elaborations, inexpressible, inconceivable. Sometimes it explains those different adjectives you find when it is explaining the emptiness in different scriptures, without elaborations, inconceivable, inexpressible, because the emptiness cannot be expressed by concept and word the way it can be expressed by the wisdom that is perceived directly. Although it cannot be perceived that way, it cannot be expressed that way, word cannot express fully like that, and also there is no elaboration of all these different dualistic appearance of that. A conceptual reasoning, consciousness is able to negate the elaboration of true existence with respect to object. However, it cannot eliminate elaboration dualistic appearance. Therefore, it's ultimate that agree with the expect to the supramountain ultimate. And so therefore it is concordant ultimate, but not the actual ultimate. And so that is when you divide up that in relation to the subject, the wisdom itself. Because when we have that, before we have the direct realization, before anyone have direct realization, and when they have the realization of emptiness through reasoning, logic, and that, you negate and eliminate the appearance of truly existence. But at the same time, there is an appearance of object and subject. There is appearance of the object itself. If you are meditating on the emptiness of the self, there's appearance of the self. If you are meditating on the object of phenomena, then there is appearance of the phenomena itself. And therefore, it cannot eliminate that all the dualistic appearance, and therefore is not the actual ultimate, but instead it is the concordant ultimate. So that is how it is kind of divided. So I think maybe today we will kind of stop here. Okay. So if we go by like this, then probably we will be able to finish by this year's sessions by end of next month. We got stuck a little bit, I think, for last, I guess, some weeks. I think I got more into details, trying to read too much. got a little bit distracted there. So, okay, so unless if there is any questions. If no questions, yes, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Geshe. So this is just, I think, a simple question. We use the term reasoning consciousness to apply to both a conceptual and a non-conceptual perception of emptiness. But I guess it's just the word reasoning that throws me off, because when I hear reasoning, I think inferential reasoning, but clearly that's not happening with a non-conceptual consciousness. Why do we have that word in there?
I think it is to differentiate from that wisdom from the conventional wisdoms, so that because it always comes through the reasoning at the very beginning, that whereas conventional phenomena, you don't need the reasonings. My eye consciousness can perceive things without any reasonings. My ear consciousness can perceive things without any reasonings. Emptiness cannot be perceived without reasoning to start with. So that could be one of the reasons, but again, I cannot say for 100% sure. I'm just wondering, even when you have direct realization of emptiness, when you actually go into the meditative equipoise, I wonder whether at the very beginning you might have to use a little bit of the reasoning and then actually go into where then you don't need any more reasoning, then become a direct. That is, I haven't seen that for sure. That is the case, So I'm not so sure that, but of course, like I think it will come later when actually how to practice in a special insight, how to engage the correctly in special insight, and then there is some explanation. Of course, that is same for at the very beginning stages, but how even you have to do stabilizing meditation without any concept at a certain time, but you have to start at the very beginning with the analysis. And through analysis, you lead to certain points, conclusion, and then you don't analyze, then you actually stay in that meditative state without any kind of analyzing. And I wonder also, even when you have that realization, at the first moments, whether you need to do that or not. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, yes, you have, yeah. Okay, so then we'll do the dedications. Due to the merits of this virtuous action, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. Changju sen cho rinpo che, ma ke pa na ke kyo che, ke wa nyam pa me pa yang, kong le kong do pe wa shou. The wish granting, wish fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable kindness in Gyacho, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Tuzu changshin jamgan gyave, ten zin jong bewe kun se to pora zi, cho sung gu we le mon tu du, pa da so du je kun du shak ten shu. Venerable One, to you whose kindness exists, that of all conquerors, and thus wander in a far place, especially west, mindful of your loving concern for us, in intention and descending again into a family of far distant land, we make this request. O Lama, please live long. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, and have a good night, good sleep, sweet dream. Nice
Thank you,
discussion.
Geshe.